nicely done. Hoyland. Oh yes, he must score surely. They have. Jamie Hoyland has done Chris Hussey's got space in defence. Hussey inside the box. Tries to square it back. An opportunity. Yeah! It's there. The top zone. And Berry take the lead.
Well, here's a crowded base with the very important goal there. He's got the right foot.
He shot! Oh, what a big goal!
And still the mighty Shakers.
Hello and welcome back to the Mighty Shakers podcast, season 3, episode 13, proudly sponsored by AC Ventilation, Eye Level Sunglasses and BIMTech Engineering. And today is a big episode. It is our 50th episode and we've got a very special guest. It's buryfc's latest signing, Lewis Rawsthorn. Lewis, how are you tonight?
I'm not bad, gents. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. And obviously, the question we ask everyone when we join is, what is your first memory of Bury FC?
I think I mentioned it in my interview last week that some of my family are actually Bury fans. So I used to come down with my granddad and my dad when I was younger. So probably the first memory will probably be coming down and watching when I must have only been 8 or 9. And there was a lad up front called, what was his name? Was it Nardiello? Was that his name?
Daddy Nardiello, yeah.
And every time I come, it seemed like he scored every week. So that's probably my first being able to remember Bury, yeah.
Because when you signed for us, we had a look to see, obviously look on social media and stuff, and Dan seemed to find an old account which may suggest you support another team in the area.
Possibly, yeah.
It's good to see Sam Ashton's recruitment policies going well, recruiting some fellow fans.
Yeah, we won't mention it though. Don't worry, we won't mention it. He might buy one.
We've had Sam on, and we gave him a bit of a ribbon about being a Bolton fan. And Henson, Mike's been mentioned for the last few weeks actually for different reasons. But yeah, I searched. I think I just searched to tag you in on a post something when you joined, and then the like an old count came up from about 10 years ago or something. It was like sharing like a predicted Bolton team. I think. Oh.
Yeah, probably. I used to have a season ticket a long time ago.
So,
But looking back at the start of your career, how did you get into football?
It was a strange one, really. So, one of my best friends at the time when we were really young, he'd just started playing, and it's one of them. You just want to be with your mates when you're young, don't you? So I was keen to join a team. I went to him to training, and unfortunately, it was the last night at training before they put our age group into all the different teams. It was Dave Flitcroft. I'm sure both of you know him quite well. It was his striker. It was Bromicross at the time, which later went to Strikers in Bolton. And because it was the first session that I'd been to and it was the last one before they put them into teams, there actually wasn't a team for me. There was probably 6, 7, 8 of us that didn't have a side, and we ended up creating a team playing in the bottom division of junior football in Bolton, and then from there slowly just sort of progressed and got myself to where we are.
And obviously your first club was Atherton LR, a club quite local to me now. I only live down the road in Mosser Common. How did that move come about to Atherton?
Well, it was a strange one, really. So when I was at college, I had a coach who was very good friends with a goalkeeper called Adam Reid, and he was at Runcorn Town at the time. And he actually sent me into Runcorn Town, who were in the county's Prem at the time. They're doing really well as well. I think they must have been 2nd or 3rd in the COVID season. And I signed there first as a midfielder, believe it or not. I couldn't think of anything worse than playing in midfield now. And quite a lot of lads will be surprised when I tell them I play midfield because it's not for me. Too tight in them sort of areas, too many people. And then I wasn't playing for one reason or the other. And I actually messaged the manager, Nick Matthews, at the time at LR, and asked if I could go down and join. And he was like, "You don't even have to come training. Like, we'll take you." the club was in a bad place at the time. So I remember I signed on, it must have been like the 23rd of December, and then played the full game on Boxing Day away at Daisy Hill. So it was a strange one, really. The club weren't in a good place, as I just said, but they didn't have many players. They didn't have any funds. The club was in quite a lot of debt. They didn't own the ground or anything. I think the season before they were actually having to call games off because they couldn't afford to sort of man the turnstile, and it was actually costing them more to play games than it would do to actually put them on. So yeah, it's a strange one.
And what was that like going in and playing, going like straight into that level of football and like the physicality of it? I guess 18, I think, weren't you, when you first joined them?
Yeah, I would have been 18 when I went to Atherton. It was quite good though, because although all the lads that we were playing against were like seasoned, like they'd been in the counties for years, we actually had a really young dressing room. I'd probably played most of the majority of the games compared to a few of the lads who had never played counties football. If they had played men's football, then it'd have been like the Cheshire League or the Manchester League. So it was good in terms of we just got chucked in at the deep end. I think we finished third bottom or fourth bottom or something like that at the end of that season. So we really struggled. We had some good results. Remember we played Chadderton, who were high flying at the time, as they are now, but they must have been in the playoffs in the league. And we actually beat them 4-1 at home. And I think we were bottom when we played them. So we had moments where we thought we're doing really well here, but then there was some moments where I think we got beat 6-1 by Pilkington, and we had like 2 players at the bench. So yeah, it was an experience to say the least. But without it, obviously, quite a few of us that progressed from Everton wouldn't be where we are now.
Yeah, and you talk about like those experiences. Just going back to you mentioned that when you were junior and you were being coached by Dave Flitcroft. And obviously you mentioned he played for Bury. What was that like, and how was that relationship with him? Did you get to know him as you were getting older?
Yeah, so Dave has 2 sons, Bobby and Billy. They were both in the academy at Bury as well. So Billy's the year older than me and Bobby's the year younger. So I was sort of I split them in the middle. There was me and Regan Riley. We grew up together. We were in the same junior team, went through school together and all that malarkey. So I remember me and Regan actually trained up a year with Dave's son and his team. And Dave was brilliant for us both. I think everything that we have, like the fundamentals that we both got, come from Dave. He was really, this is what it takes to be a professional. This is how you do it. And I suppose all the experience that he got. I remember coming watching Bury at the time because the club got tickets through Dave. So I actually saw him a few weeks ago, actually, before I signed, and he was asking how I got on and where I was at the time, and it was really refreshing to see that he still had that sort of drive for the game. I think he's doing his own sort of coaching business now. It's called Future Footballers or something like that in Bolton, where they're trying to push lads in the academy who aren't in the academy system to try and get themselves into the pro contracts, or they've just been released at the end of the scholars and trying to get them back in somewhere. So it looks like he's really enjoying it. And yeah, hopefully it works out for him and he can get quite a few more back into the game, because it's obviously really hard once you get released to keep that drive and motivation. But yeah, it was really good to see him a few weeks ago.
And looking at that 22-23 season with Everton Isle, you've scored over 30 goals in that year. That must have been some high for someone so young in the County Division 1.
Yeah, it was. I think we had a really good team. We were unlucky not to go up, to be fair. I think we finished second in the league, and I don't think we dropped below second from October all the way till they finished. We had a really young side, young manager. The manager's I think he's only 25 now, so then he would have been 23, something like that. And he gave me the opportunity to go out there and enjoy football again. At the time, I wasn't in the greatest place for football, and even being honest, I nearly stopped playing in that summer from what had happened the season before. And he just went, go out and play football. Don't worry about anything else. Just go out and score goals. And I think I was on 11 by the end of September, and sort of got that bite and the bug back for it. And I really loved my time there. And then obviously, I think it must have been end of October, start of November, Radcliffe come, but they wanted to keep me there, and ultimately that's what I wanted at the time. It's a club close to me, Aberdeen LR. Like, I still go back and watch them now. There's still all my mates that are playing there. My best mate's still there. He's played over 100 games for them now. And that season will be something that sticks with me for the rest of my career, the rest of my life. And ultimately, it just shows that if you get a group of players or a couple of individuals that are just playing because they love it and they want to turn up to training every week and they can't wait for the matches on Saturday, like, good things can happen and you get your rewards from it.
And then obviously you mentioned joining Radcliffe. When they were looking at you signing for them, Anthony Johnson said they'd beat a number of clubs to your signature. So I can imagine there's quite a few teams in for you at the time. So what was it that made Radcliffe stand out to make that switch?
I think everyone knows about John Owen Byrne, don't they? The reputation that they have. The club were the top of the league at the time. I think they were when I signed, they were still unbeaten. They went on that run at the start of the year where they didn't lose a game for, it must have been the late teens, 17, 18 games, something like that. But the most important thing is when I actually spoke to Jono about the move, he just mentioned my development and what they could offer me. He was honest with me at the time. He was like, at the moment, you're not ready for our first team, which is right. I wasn't. And he was like, we're going to keep you at Everton and we just want you to play games and keep enjoying it and keep developing. So I think that was really, really important for me to hear that, because it'd have been easy for me to sign elsewhere and go and sit on the bench or not be in the squad. And then you've gone from scoring 15 by November to then either not playing or being in and out of the side, which would have been disappointing at the time.
And then obviously you've stayed at LR for, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks, and you make your Radcliffe debut against Chadderton. Were there any nerves before that game?
A little bit, but I think John Owen Byrne actually changed the team quite a lot for that game. So it was a couple of lads that hadn't been playing or they were coming back from injury. With a couple of us younger lads, I'm trying to think who else played in it. Alex Francis, people like that, I think played in it. And his message to me before the game was just go out and enjoy it, because without us going out and enjoying it, there's no point us being there. There's no point us being on the pitch. So if I was to sit here and say that there wasn't any sort of nerves, I'd be lying, because ultimately that'd be the first time they see me in a Redcliffe shirt, the first time they see me playing on the Newven. You want to impress, you want to score, you want to get an assist, whatever it might be, you want to affect the game. Unfortunately, I didn't score, but I did get an assist, and I thought I did all right, to be fair. But yeah, it was sort of a nice break away from Everton in the league, in terms of we were second and we had to win every game, to going out there and just do my best and seeing where that takes me, sort of thing. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And similarly, when you scored your first goal, that was in the final game of the season, I think, wasn't it, against Gainsborough?
Yeah, it was. We had Gainsborough away. So the week before, it was the playoff semi-final for Everton. So if I'd have won that game, I wouldn't have ended up playing against Gainsborough, because we'd been in the playoff final. So it's actually a bit of a blessing in disguise that we did lose. So we had Gainsborough away. I think we were 2-1 down with about 10 minutes left. And I managed to score. And Jono still canes me to this for the day that I didn't celebrate. I just ran back to the halfway line and he doesn't let me forget it. Every time I bring it up, he's like, yeah, but you didn't celebrate, so it doesn't count. But I think I was sort of in the mindset of, we've got it to 2-2, let's go and win the game. But looking back now, I probably should have celebrated it a little bit more and took it as a win, sort of thing, personally.
Yeah, if you'd run around celebrating your first goal for the club, you probably would have got told off for not getting the ball out of the back of the net and taking it to the halfway line.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, probably. It's I even got a guard of honour, and I didn't even play a league game. And I got a guard of honour at the end of the season, so that was nice.
Did it feel almost like, you're probably even too young to remember this, but Chelsea did it for Man United a number of years ago, and they put Dongfang Zhu to start for them. So you're probably way too young to even know who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, basically, I think it must have been about 2004, 2005-ish, and United won the league and they sent all the reserves. I'm not saying you're reserve, but like they put all the younger players in and made Chelsea give them a guard of honour. But anyway, on to the next season. And you've had a couple of loan moves. I think it was FC United, Coles, and then Stalybridge. How did that action compare to what you'd experienced previously in the counties? Because obviously it's a step up for MPL West and the MPL.
Yeah, I think it was a really strange season. The start of it was really tough for me, not just on the pitch but off it. It sort of hit me quite hard that the gap was so big at the time. So I jumped up what would be 3 leagues. Brian Richardson was at FC at the time. He was the head of football, head of recruitment. I can't remember what his title was. And I went in actually hoping to play quite a lot of minutes and make an impact like any signing would do. And then obviously, like we said, being a Bolton fan, I'm there in training, lining up to do the runs in pre-season, and look to my left out on the fund reserve. So I sort of had an inkling that I wouldn't be playing too much. From the way that Renault set us up and the way that Renault wanted to play, it was very much a lone number 9 most of the time. So yeah, FC, it was tough. I didn't see too many minutes. Whether it was because I was a little bit naive, possibly. Hadn't had that experience, and we weren't doing particularly well either. So it'd have been hard for him to chuck a young lad in who hadn't got much experience. But I noticed the gap in the intensity and the organisation and the detail was far more than what it was at Everton. Even though Dave and Gaz Gaz especially was really in depth at Everton, where he'd do all his presentations on the opposition and things like that. This was like taking it to a new level. It was a lot more professional than it was in the counties. And then obviously I went to Coles, which was a strange, really. I think I was only there six weeks, something like that. Caggy just got the job, and there was a big overhaul of players. I come in, and then he brought a few other lads in, and I wasn't in the team at the time. But that actually made a good impact for me. I learned a lot from that loan spell, even though I didn't play much, if I'm being honest. That opened my eyes to men's football. It's absolutely ruthless for one reason or the other. Whether it's on the pitch or off the pitch, it's ruthless. People, football clubs look after themselves, and that's the most important thing. And I think every football club is like that, no matter what. And then I went to Stalybridge, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know if any of you saw after the game. I actually went over to see a few of the young kids after we played up on New Year's Day. But I loved it. I learned a lot from that, especially John Macken, the manager, former Premier League striker. I learned a lot from him. He gave me a lot of help, a lot of details, a lot of areas to improve, which I think is important. Albeit confidence is really good for me. I'm very much a confidence player at times. John allowed the ability for me to improve, because without him telling me, then I probably wouldn't be sat here. His philosophy was get the ball forwards, get it to your strikers, get it to your wingers, and we'll score as many as we can. Which I think helped, and obviously scored, what did I score, 14 in 23, 24, whatever it was. So yeah, I learned a lot from John and a few other lads in that changing room that have been around the block.
Yeah, and I think we got 13 goals and 8 assists. It's a pretty good return as well, putting them on for other players as well.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. There's some good players in that dressing room. I said it in my interview after the game, because most of them are still there. There's some very good players in that dressing room. Some that will probably go on to play a lot higher than what they currently are. And John, Steve, Gibbo, they've all either played at a good level or been around coaching at a good level. So I can see them doing well again this year. Hopefully, they might do what they want to do. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time at Stalybridge.
And then obviously onto this season, you spent a bit of time on loan out at Hyde, and then you were recalled, obviously to join Bury. How did you first hear of Bury's interest in you, and how did the move come about?
It happened pretty quick, to be honest. I wasn't expecting it. I was in the gym one lunchtime, because I'm a teacher, so I was off for the 2 weeks. I was in the gym, and I had a phone call off Radcliffe saying that they'd had interest from Bury and would I be interested. And obviously Bury being the club the size that it is, and the fan base and the structure and the foundations that it's got everything to be to be so much more as it used to be. So then all stemmed from there, really. I spoke to Jono. Jono spoke to Dave McNabb, and they sort of sorted it on between the clubs. And then I spoke to Tim, and once speaking to Tim, I knew it would probably be a good fit.
Yeah, it's interesting. We spoke to players before who've signed who have had like a connection with Bury, and like you said, your family, some of your family support Bury, and you've been to games with them before. So, what was that like when you were telling your family members who you'd been to games before that you were signing for us?
It was really good, to be fair. I won't forget ringing my grandma up and telling her that I'd signed for Bury. Quite a few of her fans have got season tickets. Friends have got season tickets in the main stand. So even though I was on the phone, you could sort of paint the picture of the smile that had been on her face. My granddad's no longer with us, unfortunately, so I think he'd have been really proud of the fact that I signed for a team that he used to take me to watch when I was probably 8 or 9. So yeah, it was really good, and hopefully it goes well.
And obviously, you'd mentioned Regan Rowley before. Obviously, he was at the club. Did you speak to him before joining? Obviously, you would have played with Scott Duxbury whilst he was on at Hyde. And then, is it what was the guy called who got us banned dubs it?
Griffiths Jones, Shaquille Griffiths Jones.
Shaq, yeah. To be fair, no, I don't think I needed to speak to anyone. I spoke to Dux a little bit about it. Whilst it was sort of all going on behind the scenes, I think he sort of maybe knew a little bit before me. He was more prepared than I was. But no, I didn't speak to anyone. I've played with a few that are currently in the changing room. So obviously I played with Reegs, I played with Dux, and I played with Rusty as well. Rusty was at LR for a little bit before he made his move to Ashton Town. So it was nice coming into the dressing room, knowing a few familiar faces. But I don't think I could speak to them as much as I want. When Bury come, then obviously everyone knows what they're about. Everyone knows the size of the club and what it could be in the future.
And obviously, you said you spoke to Tim. What did Tim say to you about coming to the club and the plans for the season?
I don't think I have to explain the plans for Bury this season. I think everyone knows what they're setting out to do. Everyone knows what the fans expect, what the club expects, and where they hope to be come sort of end of May, June time. But it was really more on a personal note because I didn't know Tim personally. I'd never spoke to him before. I'd met Dave McNabb a few times and obviously Brian. But it was just to sort of see where I fitted in, because I think it's important as a player that clarity is really important, that everyone knows where they stand. The club know where I stand. I know where I stand with the club. And it was really nice and refreshing that Tim sort of gave that, and he was honest with me through the way that they play, the players that are going to be around me. Obviously, the really talented forwards that they've already got, and that all they demand from the players is the hard work, the commitment, the dedication to meet the running stats, to meet all the intensity, the high speed running, that sort of thing, and then the football look after itself. I think in that changing room that we've got, having only been there, a little bit over a week now, that there's some honest, hard-working players in there, and I think that'll go far for us. And that's ultimately what Tim said: come in and do your best, and if you work hard and you're honest and you put a shift in, if you put a tackle in, and hopefully get a few goals as well, then that'd be great. And that's all he could ask for, which was really nice for me.
And obviously, you signed on the 31st December and you make your debut the day later. Were you aware it was going to be such a quick turnaround because you would have played on Boxing Day for Hyde, and then it's your former club as well?
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't even expecting to start, even being honest, with DJ being suspended for what had been the Shifnal game. I was actually expecting to be on the bench. So when I got told, it was really nice, and it sort of didn't give me that time to think about who I was playing against and who'd be marking me and who was in the other dugout and what the Stalybridge fans would think. albeit it was a quick turnaround, it was almost better for me. I didn't have that 4 or 5 days waiting thinking, oh my God, I'm going back to Stalybridge. I've got quite a few friends that play for them. I still speak to the coaches and the manager a little bit, that I didn't have that time to dwell. It was literally chuck you in and then it's 11v11 and whoever puts that round finger in the goal most wins.
And describe that feeling scoring that goal, your first goal for the club, so early in the game as well.
Me and Tim were actually speaking about this last night because I got a bit of jip off some of the Stalybridge fans after the game for celebrating. But like I said to Tim last night, it's for anyone that scored a goal, you don't even, half the time you don't even remember the ball going in the net. It's just pure adrenaline. You don't even think about what you're doing, and especially with 1,200 Bury fans behind that goal, it's just like you don't think what you're going to do. You just end up doing something, and that's sort of the way it goes. But yeah, it was an unbelievable feeling. Like, as a striker, you can't ask for anything better than 20 minutes into your debut, you get a goal and it's literally a tap in on the 6-yard box. Like, it doesn't really get much better for me. Not having to sort of, obviously it's nice scoring from 35 yards out, like curling it around 4 players into the top corner, but a goal's a goal, and them in the 6-yard box are the best ones for me. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because obviously you're going back to play against a former club, and one thing we spoke about in the podcast before, Will's not here, but we were talking about things to get rid of football and we didn't like in football, and he doesn't like that players don't celebrate against their old clubs, even loan moves. So he'd have been happy that you were celebrating and got
Yeah, it's
celebrated
one of
more.
them. I got a bit of grief off my girlfriend when I got home, thinking I didn't think you'd be celebrating. But I don't think she could understand that you don't even think at the time. You just end up running off and jumping in the air, and then all of a sudden you've got 9 other lads around you slapping you on the back of the head, and then it's all over. Like that. That's it. That's the end of it, and you've just got to go again.
Obviously, with the game as well, like when we've come out to line up, we were going to be attacking our fans' second half. So for them to switch and have that noise behind you, was that a big help? Because you seem to, like, for the first time seeing you like to get yourself stuck in, you put yourself about, you're causing nightmares for our centre halves, and Bury fans seem to like take to you really, really quickly. Did that help attacking our fans' first half?
Yeah, I'd say probably it did. I was actually surprised when they'd shut the hands that they went to the side that they did, because when I was there last year, they actually went and you would attack that end first as the away team. So whether they were trying to double bluff us and keep us up there thinking we wouldn't switch, I don't know. Or we would want to switch because we're in that half or whatever it was. And I actually got quite a lot of abuse off them in pre-season when we played them for Hyde. There was a few expletives aimed towards my way, whether it's because I was playing for Hyde or just because it was me, I don't know. But yeah, it was good to shoot that way first half, especially as a forward. You know that if you start the game well, that hopefully you're going to get quite a few chances in the first half, especially how open the game was. Especially for the first 30 minutes, I think we must have had over 10 shots. Obviously, we went 1-0 up in the first minute from Kai, and then you just sort of had that inkling that something was going to happen every time we went forwards. Whether it was the Shakers fans behind the net, obviously encouraging us to put a show on in that first half, which we did, or it was just the intensity we played at. I don't know, but yeah, it was really good. Especially when I think the one bit that stands out for me is I block a clearance in the corner. It must be after about, what will it be, 20, 25 minutes ish, and the roar from the fans was almost as loud as a goal. I couldn't believe it. I was looking around thinking there was someone playing with a different ball, or someone scored, or what. So yeah, that's something that I don't think I'll ever forget. The sort of the roar from just making a block. So I think that shows what the fans are after, and what Tim's trying to instill in us all is that the hard work doesn't go unnoticed by the fans, and it represents the town and the community on the pitch.
It might be a bit of a difficult one for you to answer, but so our former centre half was playing and he was being serenaded by a certain song, and he seemed to get a bit rattled by it. As a striker, are you sort of like sort of noticing that and like looking to potentially to go his way more often? Because he seemed to, after the second goal, he seemed to go into panic mode a bit.
Not really. You know, as is a good mate of mine, I played with him when he was at Stalybridge before he come to Bury. We still speak quite often, and it's one of them. You just play the game. You don't really think about what's going on in the stands or how any of their players are reacting. If you play the game and it ends up going down that side more than it goes down the other, then so be it. It's just one of them. Sorry, and I think Kai scored actually. He played really, really well, but I thought Robbo was just good on the other side. With Robbo, Leo, and Kai, I thought every time they got it, it was going to be a threat, no matter what defender it went to. I think between them three, I think they tormented their back four and the two midfielders they had in front of it. I don't think they could live with them. They didn't know whether to drop off because predominantly I like running them behind. So was it that they were going to follow me or stay with the midfield three? It was. I think that's what it was. Sorry.
Yeah, it had a story written for it. I think it was the fourth time we played Stalybridge this season. So we obviously played them in the league, and then we played them in the we played them in the FA Cup first, actually, didn't we? We drew, and then they beat us in the replay, and then they also beat us in the league as well. And with them having a lot of former players, didn't have Chalmers at the time, but players like Jerome and Doyle and so on. There was always a story for it in Tinnin as well. So it's good that something was going to happen on New Year's Day. I don't think anybody was expecting us to score 4 goals so early and win 6-2, but it was a good result. It was
a good start for me personally. I don't think you can ask any more as a forward, and you go in and you're 4-0 up after half an hour, and obviously the fans are up. It's sort of 4-0 up after half an hour. You can slightly take your foot off the gas, so to speak. Obviously, Tim doesn't allow us to do that because they're a really good side. Stalybridge, all it took was maybe a goal before half time and then one just after, and their tails are up, and you're thinking, oh no, something could happen here. So obviously, I saw the scores from the first the first 3 times. Sorry, the first 3 times that we played, that Bury played Stalybridge, and it always looked like it would be an entertaining game. I think both teams really want to attack. I know John sets his teams up like that. He wants to entertain. He wants the ball to be at the top end of the pitch where his forwards are gonna do something. That's his philosophy. That if you get the balls to the forward lads, they're going to win you the game. And probably similar to us, we're a little bit more structured in terms of we look quite solid on New Year's Day against them. They had a few half chances, but nothing really Mitch and the lads at the back couldn't deal with. But then every time we went forward, we looked dangerous. I think in the first half, if we'd have come in 6-0 up or 6-2 or 6-1 or whatever it could have been, no one would have batted an eyelid because of how well we played when we're going forwards. You know, the passes in between the lines, the intensity of our attacks, but then sometimes how patient we were as well. I think they ended up changing to a diamond halfway through that first half, and then you saw Beto get a lot of the ball. Bailey started getting a little bit more of the ball, where we were a lot more patient in possession and could actually transfer it. And that's where the space was. And I think we did it quite well towards the midpoint of the half. So yeah, we always knew that it was going to be a good game. We knew it was going to be tough. We knew that going forward they were going to be a threat, but so were we. So if we could keep it tight at the back, we were always confident that we were going to score. And Tim instilled that to us in the warm-up. We had to be switched on. We had to win our battles, and we did, unfortunately.
In an interview with Radcliffe a couple of months ago, you said one of your targets this year was to score 20 goals. You've also got 8 at the moment, 7 for Hyde, 1 for Bury. Is that still a target, or have you changed your aims over the past few weeks?
It is actually, I actually did score 9 for Hyde. I don't know why everyone keeps saying 7, but I'm not bitter about it or anything. So No, I think every striker's targets, no matter what level you are, is to be a 20-goal season striker. That's how you're measured. You're measured on your goals more than you're not. When people look at the Twitter, the Instagram, the scores, whatever it might be, they look who scored. They're not bothered about who got 52 passes, who got that sort of thing. You got a striker who worked really hard, but then ultimately we're measured on our goals. That's our job. That's our role. That's what we bring to the team. Obviously, being hardworking and aggressive and tidy on the ball is all a bonus, but we're measured on goals. So I think to sit here and say that I'd change it, probably not, because I think it's always easy to then set a target which isn't achievable. I think once I get to 20, because I'm hopeful that I will get to 20, I'm hoping to get 10 in the next 5 games, hopefully. But it's all relative. But yeah, once you get to 20, then it'll go to 25, and then so on and so on and so on. That's sort of the way I did it at Everton. It was just take each game by its, measure it on its own, and see where we come like May time. Yeah.
Mm.
I apologise for the stats. That was Dan's stat from.
It's all right.
the
No,
notes.
it's not you. Don't worry. It's I think Hyde said 7 goals. So yeah, they must be missing the cup ones.
And then obviously talking game by game and going on to the next game this weekend, you make your home debut against Avro. What are your thoughts ahead of that one?
It's going to be a really difficult game. Like, we can't beat around the bush. They're a good side. I think they won 8 in a row now. Defensively, they're pretty solid. You know, Grant, the manager, he was a goalkeeper himself. He knows what he wants in front of him as a goalkeeper, and I think they'll set up and they'll be tough to play against, as every Avro team I've ever played are. You know, they're really aggressive. They've got some very good ball players. They're quite physical. So I think Tim always says it's our home. We can't allow anyone to come in and just sort of take over. We've got to be protectors of it almost. No one's going to come to gig and get an easy ride. Hopefully we can put on another performance like we did at Stalybridge, but we know it won't be easy by any stretch of the imagination. I think Kyle, their striker, he's having a really, really good season. I think he's on 22 goals now, something like that. So he's obviously one to watch out for, and hopefully he doesn't score against us on Saturday.
Have you spoke to any of the staff or any of the lads about like playing in front of the Gig Lane crowd? Because obviously, with no disrespect to any sort of other non-league clubs at this level, we're a bit of a different beast in terms of the numbers that we can attract at home and the noise that we can generate. So have you spoke to any lads about that?
I spoke to Dux about it a little bit. Yeah, Dux is always open to giving his opinion towards you, and he's not shy of telling you if you ask him. So yeah, I spoke to Dux about it a little bit, and Tim mentioned it when we spoke on the phone, that as long as you're the hardest working player on the pitch, you put everything out there, you leave everything on the pitch, you put your tackles in, you win your individual battles, and hopefully you get a goal as well, then the crowd's going to be right behind you. You know, it's a real working class town, Bury, and ultimately that's what we want to put on the pitch, that's what we're about. We are all honest lads. We work hard for each other. And a few of the lads have mentioned that if you work hard for each other, then the Bury crowd are the first people to get behind you, and they'll see you all the way.
Yeah, I mean, when we had Tim on, we were talking about that, and you mentioned a little bit about Stalybridge when you blocked a pass or blocked a cross, and everyone went mad. We had that on Boxing Day as well, where Leo Graham tackled somebody, and it was just a tackle, and like the stadium just went mad. Like everyone was just cheering because it was just like a big challenge in the middle of the park. So definitely, I think there'll be a good crowd on Saturday. It'll be a tough game, but I think there should be at least 3,500. I think there on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people come, and I've got a few friends that live in Bury I saw yesterday that I work with, the first thing they did was mention playing for Bury. They were like, I can't believe he played for Bury. So that just shows the magnitude of the club within the community. I think these lads support like United, and I think one supports Blackburn and a couple of other sides. But they all know who plays for Bury. they all know when Bury are playing. They all know what it means to the town. I think it showed it when obviously they weren't playing. I can't remember what year was it. 2019, 2020, something like that season. And the impact that it brings not only to the community but the businesses around it. There's a pub on the corner, isn't there? I think that had been hit by it, and I've got quite a lot of family that go in the fish pool as well, and I know that they'd been hit quite hard from it. So it's important that we keep putting these performances on the pitch to keep the fans in and hopefully help these businesses out and keep them going.
And then just to wrap up this part of the interview, we had a question sent in from NPL fan 711 who said, "Who's the loudest in the dressing room and how you've settled in so far?"
Scott Duxbury is definitely the loudest person I have ever met in the dressing room. He is absolutely wild. But I love Scott. He's helped me out quite a lot since I even joined Radcliffe. He took me under his wing at the time, and he still does. Even though I'm 22 years old now, he still treats me like I'm 17 and I'm his younger brother again, which is great. I love him. He's a character. But it's been an easy dressing room to settle into. It really has. So obviously walking in and knowing a few of the lads already is always nice. Sat next to Regan as soon as I walked in. He was just as surprised to see me as I knew he'd be there, but he was really surprised to see me, which was good. Same with Rusty. And I'd played against most of the lads anyway. Obviously, Cal Spooner, I played for his dad at Hyde. Nicky was the manager when I went in at Hyde at the start of the year. So I sort of knew Cal a little bit. He'd seen me play. And I played, to be fair, I played against majority of the lads, so we'd had conversations before. So yeah, it was really nice, really easy to obviously settle in. And when you score on debut, it's even easier.
One thing I did want to mention as well, just for me, once the quick fire, I don't know if it's your representatives or an agent or something, but they posted your record throughout your career so far, which is 85 goals at 22 years old. So at 18, you scored 17 goals, 19, 12 goals, 20 years old, 33, 15 at 21, and so far 8 goals at 22. That is a pretty impressive record for someone so young. So, like, how's that feel to sort of nearly be on 100 potentially by the age of 23?
Yeah, obviously it's really nice. When I got asked, Nathan and the other person that runs it actually asked me how many goals I scored in each season, and it's not something that I'd thought about before. So when I was going through it and sort of looking at it all, it was really nice and refreshing to see that all these seasons are adding up. It's not just a season where I've scored 30 and then I scored 4 the season after. It's consistently at least double figures. A couple of them seasons, so for example, last season I didn't really play until December time. And then the season when I was 18, I was in and out the side because I was only young and we were struggling at the time. So that was nice to just even break double figures that year. But yeah, it's nice and refreshing to just sort of look how far you've come, because obviously we always want to get better, but then we never realise how far we've come since I was 17, first playing in the counties. Yeah,
Especially when you like, you've just added context to that there, like last season, so you've not played to December, but then when you look at the stats in each season, when you've moved around divisions as well, like you said, you jumped up basically 3 divisions and then still scoring goals. It just shows that like constant progression there, isn't there? And again, hopefully, like you said, this season, 20 goals to keep the tally going.
yeah. I think I've scored in what would be now step 6, step 5, step 4, and step 3. I've scored scored 8 in step 3. No, yeah, 10 in step 3, and then obviously probably over 50 in step 6. So it is nice to see the progression and see how much I'm changing all the time. Even just from last season, I feel like I've learnt a load. I worked quite hard in the summer to try and get myself in sort of in the squad at Radcliffe, which obviously which didn't prove to work out the way hopefully it did. But they're flying now, and Rio and Jordan and all the rest of the forwards are doing really, really well. So yeah, it's nice to sort of measure myself based on how far I've come compared to where I was 3 or 4 years ago.
And it was probably a bit similar at Hyde, I guess, because they've got an AstroTurf pitch, but and obviously like training at Bury now. What's it like being training at Gig Lane and having that setup where you go into the same place to train and to play because we've got the AstroTurf facility?
Yeah, it is good that everything's under sort of one roof. You know, the physio room, the gym, the kit room, everything's sort of together. So you're not having to move around places from one training, like AstroTurf at a school or a college, wherever it might be, to another on the Thursday. So yeah, it's really nice to sort of have everything um, under one roof, and you know exactly who people are. You get to meet people around the club, which I think is really important. You know, the kit men, the media guys, people on reception, they're all there when we train. So it's nice to meet people around the club more than what you would do if you weren't training there.
And did you have a look to see where your family and friends are going to be sat on Saturday, so you know where to celebrate when you score?
I think they'll be in the opposite stand to the main stand. That's where they normally sit. So I'll have to drop them a message sort of Friday night, Saturday morning, see where they're planning to go. But hopefully I get to score in front of them and down the other end of in the A block.
Yeah. As I was going to say, in front of the A box, usually where everyone goes to celebrate, and at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think obviously that's sort of the having not played at gigs since I was a kid. That's sort of the area that everyone knows, but just up the other end is just as important. They still come, they still pay the exact same amount of money to come watch us. They still support us the exact same way they do at the other end. But they might have kids with them. They might be slightly older than majority of the people in A block, whatever it might be. They're just as important to all of us as players.
You have to do a lap all the way around then.
Yeah, that's it.
Sweet. So let's move on to the quickfire part of the interview now. So it's going to fire these questions at you, and it's the first thing that comes into your head. So we're going to start with Messi or Ronaldo.
Messi, 1,000,000% Messi.
Favorite ground that you've played at?
It would probably be the gig or the Reebok. It'd be one of them two. Yeah, they're probably the two biggest that I've played at.
What's the worst away ground you've played at?
Bake Up. I don't even have to think about it. Bake Up. I remember walking into the away changing room and there was a hole in the roof and a tree coming through it and there was no running water. So if anything can beat that and top that, and anyone's got anything worse than that'll do.
We've got to go low Breck again at least this season.
Yeah, I know. I've been there a couple of times already.
What is the best match that you've played in?
My debut for Stalybridge was quite good. I signed in the morning of the game. I got a phone call about 4:30 telling me that was in the squad. We were at home to Hensford. So they were in the playoffs. We were in the playoffs at the time. We were 3-0 down after about 15 minutes. We're getting booed, called all sorts by the fans, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I done? I hit the bar, and then we got it back to 3-3 at half time and went on to win it 4-3 in the second half. That was quite good. That was quite memorable. Yeah.
Who was your footballing hero growing up?
Probably as a striker, I'm gonna get a lot of stick for this, but probably Kevin Davis, stalwart. Watched him for years. A lot different to the way I play. Obviously, he's very much come to feet, target man, hold up player. But then there's also Daniel Sturridge as well. He had a season at Bolton when he was probably 21, 22, and I think he scored 15 in his loan spell in 6 months or something stupid like that. He just scored every game. So probably one of them too, yeah.
If you could eat one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Curry, probably. I'm a huge, I like spicy food. So probably a chicken tikka paffia or a balti or something like that.
What's your spice level at Nando's?
I sort of just keep it as medium. I think you can't go wrong for it. It's spicy, but it doesn't sort of make you keep running to get a drink and sit there in a hot sweat. So yeah, medium.
What would be your perfect 5 items on a full English breakfast?
Sausages, hash brown, black pudding, beans, and poached egg.
Solid. Toast is always free as well, so you get that as an extra.
Exactly.
If there was anything, is there anything you'd like to get rid of from football? So like Room 101 style. So as Dan mentioned before, Will, who's normally on the podcast, he always says put players celebrating against the former club.
Fouls on goalkeepers. Right, so this winds me up. So a goalkeeper can jump into a striker with the knee and catch them on the shoulder or the head, and it's a foul to the goalkeeper. But if I put a little finger on them, they get a foul. So which way are we having it? Are we allowed to jump into people with knees or are we not? Like, I don't understand the difference. I always say it from corners as well. They get fouled and they get a free kick, but if they do the same to me, I'm not getting a penalty. So which way do they want it? It's either one or the other. You can either touch him or you can't touch me. So one of them.
Do you have any superstitious pre-match routines?
Yeah, I am very, very superstitious. So I always have beans on toast before a game. Always beans on toast. And then I always put my right sock on, then my right boot, and then I tie my laces 3 times. And then my left sock, left boot, and tie my laces 3 times on the other side as well. And I always have a pack of sports mix as well in my bag.
Have you played with anybody else who's had anything else that's superstitious? A bit weird.
I played with a lad called Dave Moore at Everton. He's the captain now. We used to give him a bib in the warm-up for what team would be on the possession. And he'd run round with it on. He'd do the full warm-up holding it. Like, he wouldn't put it on. He'd hold it until we had to do the possession. Like, he'd just run round with it in his hand. And I'd be like, why aren't you just putting it on? It's so much easier. I'm trying to think who else did we have. I think that could be it, to be fair. Yeah, I've not really come across too many.
Today's podcast is proudly sponsored by AC Ventilation Limited, your trusted local experts in air conditioning and ventilation since 1995. Based in Rochdale, AC Ventilation serves the entire UK, bringing fresh air and comfort cooling with heat pump technology to commercial businesses. From design, installation, commissioning to future planned maintenance, they specialise in creating tailored solutions for every sector, including industrial, healthcare, retail, hotels, schools and more. For dependable service, think AC Ventilation. Breathe easy with 30 years of experience you can trust. To find out more, visit www.acventilation.com. AC Ventilation, proud sponsors of the Mighty Shakers podcast.
So thanks to Lewis for joining us. Hopefully you all enjoyed that chat. But let's have a look at the game since our last podcast with us, Tib Lees. Firstly, thanks to everyone who's listened and watched that video. It's one of our best performing ones. Had some great feedback, so hopefully you all enjoyed that. And obviously his first match was that Clitheroe game on Boxing Day. Great crowd, 5,337. First half is a little bit shaky. Probably Clitheroe could have been ahead. They had that right winger called Veron Parney who hit the bar. I thought he was dangerous throughout. But then that penalty from Rustem Steppens, special mention to Bobby Carroll, his run, which created it, and the keeper took him out for that one. And then in the second half, Leo Graham secured the win with a strike from 35 yards. More like 20, but it is what it is. The only negative being DJ's red card, which obviously he is suspended for Avro this upcoming weekend, when it should have been shifted up because of the frozen pitch and whatnot. We can get onto that in a minute. But Dan, you sort of streamed that game. You weren't able to make it due to family commitments. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I had the stream on. I was up in the lakes, but yeah, I was out. We were in the theatre, and I got out of the theatre and put the stream on. So I managed to catch the penalty. Saw that celebrate. I didn't catch much of the second half, so I missed the long range goal. But good win, good solid win. I think it's just like, it was going to be a tough game, wasn't it? And getting a clean sheet's always solid. So a good win and a good crowd as well. I was moaning about there being no football on Boxing Day, like generally like TV football throughout the day at lunchtime and stuff. Like the armchair supporter that I was, not at the game, but maybe that had an impact. Maybe that was better. Like there was no game on it. Like TV was the real Premier League until United played at 8 o'clock. So maybe that was a good thing. So maybe that should continue. as maybe more boring it is for some people who are at home on Boxing Day stuff. But yeah, it was good. Like you said, shame about DJ's red card, especially being like a second yellow so late on the game when the game was won. And then the game being postponed against Shifnal is a bit of a. I feel like playing the game so close to Stalybridge wasn't ideal. So in that sense, it was good that we probably weren't playing it and we'll play it later on in the season. But then these red cards carried over and hasn't it to an even bigger game. So that's a shame. But we've got our new signing in, so at least we've got a striker in who's hit the ground running with a goal. So on we go to Avro. But then obviously we had New Year's Day, which we discussed with Lewis, but an even better win. We both missed that, didn't we? No, you went. Sorry. Will.
Yeah, I was there. Not like you two part-timers.
We are the part-timers. So yeah, what was that like, the atmosphere? You were obviously texting us and sending us some videos and stuff.
Yeah, like the one of the best games of the season, like standout performance, no doubt. Just the atmosphere as well from like early kickoff. Like I got there not fairly early, but like I like to park up. I like being comfortable in a parking position because last year I had to park on the other side. The FA Cup game I parked on the other side of the road. It was a nightmare getting home, so I made sure this time I was on the right side of the road. My wife came with me. We walked down into Stalybridge to meet our friends. Walked back up. Regretted that because I was absolutely sweating by the time we got back up that hill. But yeah, we were 1-0 up straight away. The Kai Evans free kick. So I normally record free kicks. I'm like, probably a bad thing because nothing comes out. But we like to get a bit of content for everyone. And it's the one free kick I didn't record. And he celebrates right in front of us. You can see me on the highlights sort of go down to the steps, giving it the big one in my blue coat. But yeah, great free kick, great goal from Lewis. Nice little poacher's finish as Liam Tong tried to clear it at the back. Owen Robertson got his first goal, and then Kai Evans again. And yeah, the Aaron Chalmers songs were being sung from the terraces, including an expletive as well as what's the score. He reacted at 2 and 3-0. At 4-0 he didn't react, which is why I sort of asked that question before. But obviously Lewis is a mate of his, so he's never going to say much on that. But he just seemed to have a bad game for us, fortunately, because obviously we know how good Aaron was when he was playing for us. And then in the second half, that sort of nightmare show continued with DJ coming on, created a lot of problems. They played the ball in behind him, and he got the penalty off the back of him, fouling him, and then the through ball was put in behind him, and then the keeper took him out for that last one. Kai Evans shushed them all, and then Leo Graham gave it to Jude Bellingham in front of him, which is pretty funny for someone so young to do and being so full of confidence. It's a shame to see him go after the Avro game. As expected, they came out firing. I thought their right winger was pretty good. I think his name's Ellis Horan. I think he scored the one late on, but he should have scored his shot that came before the penalty should have got in. Like it was on the angle, he hits the post. And then I didn't see the incident because of the position I was in. But it's been given as handball. They get one back, but then obviously we fought through that and got the 2 goals. And then, yeah, the late consolation after a little bit of a defensive error by Luke Tabone, but his hand was up straight away. And I mean, when you're 6-1 up, if you take a risk like that and it comes off, everyone's going to applaud you. So, yeah, at least it happens then and not like 0-0. Get it out of the way. And I think he's been fantastic since he's come in as well. I'd like to see him stay on to the end of the season because he's a big guy. He commands the defence. He wins pretty much every header. You're not going to outmuscle him on any situation whatsoever. And also Ruben Jerome, we know how strong he is and how well he does in that sort of physical battle. And I thought he was quiet throughout the whole afternoon. Looking back at the highlights, quite surprised he didn't get sent off.
Yeah.
Because he snaps Leo Graham and then he sort of pushes someone in the face, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes back for it afterwards. Yeah, obviously, like I said, I wasn't there for that one, and I watched the highlights, and then I didn't even realise he was playing Jerome, really, until that happened at the end. And I was like, and then I was watching it thinking, was he a sub? But then he had 9 on his back, didn't he? So I was like, no, he wasn't. I just hadn't spotted him in the highlights up until then. Yeah. The Chalmers one's funny, isn't it? Like, he obviously came on the podcast, and he was good on the podcast, and he was good for us last season. He's obviously had a lot to say, hasn't he, since he left, which is a shame. But yeah, just what goes around comes around, doesn't it, sometimes? And he had a tough day of it on New Year's Day. And it's a bit like we talked about the West Didsbury one, and we probably talked about this with Stalybridge previously when they beat us, that when you've got those former players, how something's going to happen, and it went in our favour, thankfully, and the players obviously were fired up, weren't they, to score so many goals early on. And yeah, Tabone, it feels like when we signed Chalmers a bit earlier than this last season, but that centre half that we needed, the stability and height and winning headers, feels like that. So hopefully, yeah, we can keep him on, because obviously we've still got Walker to come back still yet, so be good to have him in the mix as well. So we're on to the next one against Stavro, which should be a good one, should be tasty. Looking forward to that one, definitely.
Yeah, like they've been very good this year. Like, arguably should be 3 points more because of that Kids Row game getting abandoned when they were 6-1 up. So I think their charge sheet's been released this week. It's all Kids Grove. So I don't think the game will get replayed. I think it would just be Avro will get the awarded the points. So they'll have 3 points more. I think Lewis mentioned it before, but Grant Shenton's done a great job so far with them. Obviously, it's his first year in management. He was good with the Bury fans last year in the cup game. He was their keeper for that one, and he seems to have lost a lot of weight as well. He looks pretty good this time around. He's gone for the glasses look handy with the cap as a gaffer. So yeah, fair play to him. He's doing really well with them. Hall is on fire as well. Obviously, we were a bit unlucky in the away game with the deflection goal, but it was a fair result in the end. And yeah, it's going to be a really good game in front of a decent crowd.
Yeah, which brings me on to a point that I've got in the notes, and what I tweeted about was about him being nominated for Manager of the Month for 2 wins out of 2, but Tim Lees has been overlooked with his 3 wins out of 3. Maybe they don't count his before he was caretaker or whatever that is. But I think Tim's been overlooked there. But Grant did say if we voted for him and he won, he would give him the award. So we'll have to...
He didn't win.
Did he not win?
No.
Has it already been done? Oh.
I'm sure they announced it before as a guy in another league.
I thought I saw something today about still voting for it. Unless they've already announced it. Well, maybe he knew he wasn't going to win, so that's why he was saying vote for me, so he didn't have to hand it over.
Yeah, Wellingborough Town manager won the Step 4 Manager of the Month.
Okay. I think Grant Shannon's won it previously, I think, hasn't he? Or someone...
I think so, yeah. Like, they've been very good this year, haven't they?
They are.
Undeservedly.
Yeah, which is fair. But yes, that should be a good game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And obviously the Shifnal game is going to get rearranged for a midweek game, no doubt. So we've got that one to look forward to. Finally get there. And I'll go quickly to one of the Shaker shout-outs, seeing as we were just talking about that, to Mo Stark, wasn't it, who had booked his trip from London to go to Shifnal and was praying that the game wasn't off, but it was, and he made the trip anyway, and he went to the pub, didn't he? He went to the White Hart pub, I believe, in Shifnal, because they've put things on twice now, haven't they, for 2 postponed games, and supporters haven't really got there, so Shaker shout-out to him for making that trip for a day out in Shifnal. Wonder if he will go for the Wednesday night or Tuesday night, whenever it is.
Go for the hat-trick.
That would be some effort, yeah.
Looking at other news, obviously Leo Graham's extension was confirmed. If you're wondering why the podcast jumped a little bit last time, we had to cut that out because the deal wasn't confirmed at the time. But yeah, so his loan deal is up after the Avro game. So Tim was saying in that podcast that it was a 2-week extension, and Wigan would like him to play league football, I believe, or at least full-time football. I can't remember his exact words. We'll have to sort of dig out the clip.
Yeah, I think he said that there were football league clubs in for him when we got him, and we were lucky to get him, but they want him to move up the pyramid, which is fair enough. Like I say, never fall in love with a lone player. So we got one more game from him this weekend, get a hat-trick, and then he can go.
And obviously, Kieran Glynn has decided to take up a playing opportunity in Australia, so he's left. But Bailey Sloan has joined. He was one of the signings that Tim was talking about. So he was playing for Marine in the National League North up until I think like October time, and he's playing for Tottington United, a local club in Bury, to keep his fitness up. We've got Kerrs National Wares, as Dan mentioned before, on Tuesday the 13th in the Manchester Premier Cup. Ticket prices have been released by Bury on social media. We've also had some news from the FSSB board. I think I pronounced that right, but you'll people are correct if not. So we got an email, I believe it was last night. The chair, John Woodhead, was stepping down from his role, but continuing the board. And Tina Newell, who was also voted on during the elections with Brad Seymour, she is going to be the new FSSB chair. So yeah, see how that goes over the next few months, but it's probably a bit too early on to tell how we're all doing. Probably only had like 1 or 2 meetings, so might take a month or so before any sort of new bits come out from that. And it's a shame to end on a sad note, but sadly, before the Stalybridge game, I found out some very sad news from Facebook that Bury fan Mike Ball had passed away over the Christmas period. So Mike, people would have seen him. I was with him at Witten Away, and he's always cracking jokes. He loved Bury Football Club. He had a young family as well. He was due to be married this year, and sadly he passed away over the Christmas period. So all our thoughts are with his friends and family. And yeah, I think there was a GoFundMe link to help raise some money for his family and his young children. So yeah, very sad news to see that Mike Ball had passed away, and he'd engaged with the podcast a few times, but I knew him outside of that as well, through a lad called Jordan, because I think he's a similar age to me. Might have played football against him when I was younger, but yeah, very sad news to see that. And yeah, it shook me a little bit because you don't see many people sort of my age, but yeah, our thoughts go out to Mike and his family. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. Hopefully everyone has enjoyed it. If you have, drop a like, drop a subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening audio wise, make sure you're subscribed so you can get all our latest podcasts. There'll be weekly episodes going out on a Thursday on YouTube and on audio on a Friday. And next week, if all plans are going ahead, we will have Head of Football Dave McNabb join us. So get your questions in on social media for him as he talks through everything in his new role. But yeah, that's it from us. Avro this Saturday. We've got someone else the week after whose name I can't remember. I can't remember who we got on the 17th. Surprise. Let me check the fixtures. I got it up. It is...
Who are we playing?
Darlaston Town.
I thought you meant the guest.
No, Darlaston Town, you idiot. Yeah, we've got Darlaston Town at home. So yeah, we'll have another episode before that. So yeah, that's it from us. See you next time. Up the Shakers.
Up the Shakers.